Hi, this is Kosowski for AP Gov 5-minute review, and in this installment, we're going to be looking at Congress. So the overview of this is that certainly they were intended by the founding fathers to be the policy-making body and most directly in touch with the people. Now, when we look at a congressman in terms of how he or she votes, you can either take the view of the constituents, the party, or personal views. Typically, it will be a mixture of these two, but if it's a really important issue to constituents, the congressperson will be very, very wise as to heed the constituents' point of view. Now, when you look at the two parts of Congress, you have the House, 435 members serving 2 years in office, more responsive to the people. It is more structured. You have limited debates, and you do have less compromise compared to the Senate with 100 members serving 6-year terms, and 1/3 of the Senate is up for re-election every 2 years. And it was supposed to be the wiser part of Congress, giving advice and consent on very important matters such as foreign affairs. And of course, they do have that very powerful power of filibusters or unlimited debates, which the House does not have. Now, when we look at congressional leadership, the most powerful person is the Speaker of the House within the House of Representatives, and underneath that you have the Majority Leader and the whips. And of course, as we said, the House is more formal, more structured, more rules, and party loyalty tends to be stronger, as opposed to the Senate, which is formally led by the VP, but simply because they can only vote in a tie, the president pro tempore is the senior member of the party. It's more of a ceremonial position, and really the bulk of the power is under the hands of the majority leader, who shows them by party members and determines the Senate agenda. Certainly having that power of the agenda is extremely important. Now, when we look at the exclusive powers of the House of Representatives, all revenue bills have to start in the House. They do also have impeachment power, whereas, of course, the Senate has the presidential appointments and treaties, which have to be ratified by 2/3 of the Senate. Again, exclusive means only to the House and the Senate. When we look at powers over time, certainly we've seen the Alaska Clause, anything necessary and proper for Congress, major power there. They also have oversight of the budget, meaning control of the purse, and then legislative oversight. When we look at some of the incumbent powers of congressional members, they have everything from credit claiming, gerrymandering, helping the House elections, certainly the sophomore surge, and campaign spending. Typically, you're going to see PACs donating much more money to incumbents because they have a better chance of winning. And of course, for the House, you see it definitely being advantageous with midterm elections where you have lower turnout, which of course is going to favor the incumbent. Now, when we look at the different types of committees, you have standing, joint conference, and select. When we look at the standing, probably the more common type in which you're being the expert under a particular subject matter. And this is really where the real work of legislation occurs. They analyze it, and other committee functions include conducting investigations as well as oversight as well. Now, when we look at the most important committees in the House, it's definitely the Rules Committee, which is the traffic cop, Ways and Means. Anything dealing with taxation has to start in the House, not the Senate, in the House. We also have the Appropriations Committee, and then within the Senate, you have the Finance, Appropriation, Foreign Relations, and Judiciary Committees. Very, very important there. Now, when we look at info to Congress, you have the CRS, the GAO, and the CBO. Probably the most important one to know is the Congressional Budget Office, which is going to be advising Congress of financial matters such as how much might a bill cost. Now, when bills are in Congress, you have things like pork, log rolling, and earmarks. Earmarks, money allocated for a project. That's very important to congresspersons. You also have log rolling. You support my bill, I'll support yours. And pork is that money that's going to be allocated in that earmark. Now, when we look at bills in the Senate, you have, of course, filibuster power, where it allows for unlimited debates, unless you have cloture, in which you have the majority of the Senate being, at this point, more than a majority, being 2/3 of the Senate agreeing to end debate. And their amendments do not have to be germane, meaning that does not have to be related, as opposed to here in the bills in the House, they have to be germane to the bill.